So in 2003, Konami made a huge printing error in their Magician's Force set that resulted in us collectors having two variants of Dark Paladin that we can collect, with one being extremely rare. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the error art Dark Paladin as well as the corrected art Dark Paladin. So let's get into it. Alright, so to understand this release, we have to go all the way back to 2002, where Champions of Black Magic was released as a booster set on the OCG side. So in that set, obviously you can tell by the name, there is a lot of spellcasters, and this is where most of the Magician's Force cards come from. Magician's Force is actually a combination of Champions of Black Magic as well as Advent of Union. Those two sets, as well as Premium Pack 4 / the G3 Dark Magician Girl, were combined together to create Magician's Force in 2003 on the TCG side. So in Champions of Black Magic, you had Dark Paladin be released in there as one of the top chase rarity cards. It came in both secret rare as well as ultimate rare, with ultimate rare being the most expensive version of that card. However, in that release, the Dark Paladin has the same artwork in both rarities, and that is the artwork where he's kind of like floating in the air with his back leaning to his left. Now, this artwork was made for the booster packs, and that's actually what should have been in Magician's Force. However, alongside Champions of Black Magic, there was a structured deck Yugi that came out Volume 2 that houses Dark Paladin in his portrait artwork, which is, by the way, extremely badass to have in a structured deck. I mean, they really did a good job with that deck, and I wish you got something like that in the TCG. But that aside, you can tell that there was two releases at the same time, and that's where Konami had the mix-up, because they were supposed to release the standing portrait artwork in the Duel Master's Guide, which is what they did. However, during that release, because it was so close in the time frame, I do believe that there was a mix-up in the factories, and that artwork that was supposed to be on Duel Master's Guide exclusively was released in the Magician's Force First Edition booster set. But because they caught it, you're gonna see that in the unlimited booster boxes, if you pull a Dark Paladin, it's going to have what's called the corrected artwork, which is him leaning to the left. It's not going to be the portrait style that you're going to find in the Magician's Force First Edition. Now, some people speculate that this is why Magician's Force is short printed in the TCG, like it doesn't exist in any other languages. However, I don't really think that that's the case. Not only did they fix it on the Asian English First Edition, but Pharaonic Guardian has the exact same attributes in terms of release as Magician's Force, and it got the exact same treatment, and there are no misprints in that one. So you might be asking yourself now, okay, well, if the portrait style Dark Paladin is the only one that could be pulled from Magician's Force First Edition, and we've seen Dark Paladin corrected arts that have First Edition stamps, where do they come from? Well, that's where the promo aspect comes into play in this case, and this is where it has one of the most unique releases for this card. What you basically had to do was, if you knew about this error via the Yu-Gi-Oh.com website, then you would basically mail in the error artwork to Konami. They would take that, I don't know what they did with it, probably trash it, and they would send you the corrected artwork in an envelope. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't use the internet in 2003, 2004. So because of this, I didn't know about it, and I also think that a lot of people didn't know about this as well. So because of this, it made the corrected artwork Dark Paladin very coveted in the community for those who knew about it. Because once Konami stopped that promotion, it was basically, that's it. The only Dark Paladins that could be acquired now are ones that you can get right out of the booster box, which are the error artworks. So this history and lore that became attached to this promo corrected art Dark Paladin followed it all the way up to 2018, 2019, where the Dark Paladin was starting to reach astronomical numbers that even rivaled the first edition LOB Blue Eyes. And that's because so many collectors wanted to own a piece of this history, and it was simply just not available. However, what also happened in 2020, there was a batch of around 50 to 100 of these Dark Paladins quickly flooded into the market. It appeared that someone had a whole batch of them, and they decided to just grade everything with PSA, and overnight the population report for PSA 10s jumped by 50. It was absolutely crazy. Everybody was panicking, and the price completely tanked. I believe it went from like $8,000 to $10,000 all the way down to like $3,000 to $4,000. Like, it was like an absolute mess. Everybody was just panic selling. Now, this was sort of to be expected, right? Because if you think that Konami was making, like, you know, sheets of the Dark Paladin artwork, in my opinion, if I was running a company, I would probably say, okay, well, we made made this error. Let's print enough to at least accommodate what we released. I'm sure they probably made a couple of adjustments where they lowered the number of the corrected art promos because they probably figured that not everybody's going to see the thing, not everybody's going to realize it was an error. Only the true hardcore fans of the time are going to know about it. But I believe that they did make a good amount of them. And because of what happened in 2020, a lot of the collectors that were around from before then have this kind of like, PTSD type of thing where they're worried that it just might happen again. And they've shied away from investing in this card. In my personal opinion, I think that this card has great value. It has an incredible artwork. It is an incredible monster card, like arguably one of the best looking magicians out there. I mean, honestly, it's top 4 for me, top 3. Might even be the top 2. I definitely can't put it above Magician of Black Chaos, as that's one of my favorite cards, but Dark Paladin is definitely up there. It's one of the best looking artworks, and it combines Buster Blader and Dark Magician. Like, how badass is that? And then you add in the fact that there's a lore behind it. I don't know, I think I like the card. Would I pay like, $8,000-$10,000 for a PSA 10? Probably not. I just don't think that cards are worth those prices anymore. I do think that it will hold a lot of value, and you can tell because the raw card market holds it at a very high value. It's not even about the PSA 10s. Like, the raw cards go for at least $1,500 regardless of condition. When you have a $1,500 raw card, it means that the collector market really respects it and they really understand how rare the card is. So I'm not too worried about more cards coming onto the market because I feel like the market will absorb it, like what happened in 2020. Because what happened in 2020 was everybody thought that there is no chance that there's any other ones. But today in 2023, I do think that collectors have this awareness of more being out there built into the price of this card, and that's actually what held it back from exploding in price like every other card that exploded in 2020, 2021. If you actually look back, Blue Eyes, Red Eyes, Dark Magician, everything shot over the $10,000 mark. Dark Paladin was the only one that maybe gained a few $1,000s, but it had nowhere near the growth that the other cards had. And I think that's because collectors were very wary of what happened in the past. Overall, I think that this is a great card to pick up. I highly recommend you pick it up raw because your Magician's Force collection cannot exist without it. I think it has great history, it has great lore, and it is a badass artwork of a badass monster card that was so pivotal in the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. And I think it's a staple in every high-end Yu-Gi-Oh collection. I highly recommend you guys pick one up if you can. But that's pretty much all I have for you guys today in terms of the corrected and error artwork of Dark Paladin from 2003 Magician's Force. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more educational Yu-Gi-Oh content. Comment down below what your thoughts are on this card. Were you around when this big jump in population came up? How is Dark Paladin on your ranking list? Is it like one of those like staple cards in your opinion, or is it just an extra that you add in if you have the extra funds? If you guys want to support the channel further, I have a Patreon, and you can also use the links in the description to shop. I have my own garden of binders that you can pick up for your own collection. In my humble opinion, I think that they are some of the best binders on the market in terms of quality, and at the same time you'd be supporting the channel. But that's pretty much it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.